this is actually the first time I've really preached to a group of people at a church, so I guess first of all, thanks. I just really appreciate the openness and ability that, you know, Red trusts people to have a crack at stuff, you know. Yeah? Okay, so there's actually, the sermon sort of came from some words I got from the Lord last year sometime, and I sort of wrote them down on me. So there's a little note. It's been sitting on my desk for the last 12 months at least. And it was only a few weeks ago that it actually all sort of came together in the end. I was using bits of it, but it didn't really make a full story until recently. So, and it's really, you can at the end of it is the gospel in 5 words. If you want to put a tag on this whole thing. So where I want to start is just want you to close your eyes and think of something that you've done that made you really feel alive. Right, something that you just, you know, you just go, wow, that's the best thing, and I just really enjoyed that. So shout some of them out. What stuff makes you feel good? Daisy?
I came here.
You came here, okay. Yeah? You get a tick straight away there, Daisy. Good job. Anything else? Any community? It doesn't have to be churchy stuff. It's just, you know, something that you stand on a beach and you saw a sunset and you thought, wow, that's amazing. You know, really appreciate that. Whatever it is. Riding a motorbike. Trying to stop a motorbike. Trying to stop that. Absolutely. When the cliff face is coming at you, you're just like, and then you stop and then you just go, oh, I'm pumped, you know, I'm going well. Yeah? Anything else? Looking at the stars last night, yeah, it was brilliant sky, yeah.
Storm chasing.
Storm chasing, yeah, so my son Timmy likes chasing storms and trying not to get hailed on, but getting close enough that you can feel it. So the feeling of being alive. Alright, so the first word, I'm going to call that passion. Okay, where you are, you know, there's something there that is, you know, that we're alive. I mean, we're a conscious being. We've got stuff inside of us that no other creature has got. Okay, we can talk, we can ask questions, we can learn. But that feeling of being alive. We'll just go to that first scripture there, please, Annette. It all started back at the beginning. The Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living being. So that's what's inside of you. Okay, so God put that breath into each and every one of us, and that is, and we've all got different passions in life. Okay, like I use this as I work in agriculture, so you know I'm talking to crowds about growing better crops. Well, I get excited about growing stuff, okay? And, you know, you can go out there and look at a potato crop and it's just sitting in the sun and, you know, the crop's going well. It's one of the things that I really enjoy. So, but each of us got it, you know, some people are good at music or some people are good at talking to other people or whatever it might be. So the first word, probably the simplest one in some senses, is passion. Okay, just remember that you're alive and you're conscious and you're given that gift of life, and there's something that also, you know, that separates us from other animals, it separates us from rocks or the table over there. We've got that life in us. And I also really like facts, so we're going to do a little bit of agricultural training here today. And in the agricultural stuff, just amazing things happen. So the other week we had Raph in here with his mustard seeds. Well, his mustard seeds are a little bit smaller than when I bought them this morning, but here I've got a seed. And I put about 4 of these in my garden, I don't know when that was, a few months ago now, I suppose. And pretty simple, with some of that stuff that comes out the backside of the cow, that I'm not allowed to call something starting theirs. Manure, so cow manure, getting what looked like pretty lousy dirt, actually, just from scraped around in our garden, and a bit of water. And then, magically, these big green things appear from this little ground thing, and I've got these big plants that are like this big. And this morning you go out there, and Janelle grabbed them the other day, but you know, you've got a whole bunch of zucchinis. Now, 3 days ago, like, when was that, Thursday or something, you picked the little things? Well, now there's a whole flipping bowl of them. And if you could please help us by taking some home with you, that would be awesome, because our fridge is, you know, we sort of run out of things to make zucchinis out of. So yeah, they go from little dinky ones, little fellas like that, to big guys like that in about a day and a half. Right? And that's pretty amazing. So, and then I guess the science of that. How does it actually work? So we can perhaps have the first slide. Next one there.
Oh, hang on. There. Oh.
Okay, now I'll get cut off at the top there. But the top it says photosynthesis. Okay? So this is basically where plants, green things, they take light from the sun, water, carbon dioxide, and there's these things, these green things on the left. I should have brought my laser pointer in this morning, sorry. But they're called chloroplasts, and they have thylakoids in them, and there's all these fancy things. We've got a plant physiologist that works for us, he did a doctorate in plant physiologist, and he can talk for like hours about this process. And this is a really simple slide. And then you've got NADPH and ATP, which is like an energy transfer, like these tiny batteries that take the energy across. Carbon dioxide comes in, it does that, and it makes glucose. Okay? Which is basically the building block. That process, if that doesn't happen, none of us are here. No animals, no life. Like all the coal that we burn or all the oil that we burn has all come from this process in the first place. And then in a plant, you've got sugar. Well, I mean, plants obviously are sugar. We know that if you just eat sugar all the time, you have problems, right? You need more in our diets than just sugar. So the same with plants. They're not just sugar. They're all sorts of other amino acids and whatever. So you got the next one, Annette, please. What the plant does with it, and this is some of them. There's a science. Guys that work in our company back in Africa that work in a science called metabolomics. It took me like 6 months to learn how to say that word. But it's basically where you've got then all these different things and metabolic pathways that happen in the plant, where the plant takes the sugar, turns it into other stuff so that it can work. Okay? Like, it's just like amazing, right? There's all these sort of things that sort of come through and make it happen. I think the next slide is the tree. Okay, now, this tree is that tall, but the computer insisted, it put up a little message and say, we can't stand this up, we're not going to see this, so put it on the side. Okay, we have to sort of turn over this way a little bit and look at that tree. Okay.
Alan, don't fall off the chair.
I mean, I'm blessed to get to travel around a fair bit. This is a sequoia tree, the middle one anyway, is a sequoia tree in California, up in the mountains, and it's one of the most beautiful places I've been to.
Good for logging.
Good for logging, yeah, absolutely. There's a heck of a lot of timber in one of those things. So what I want you to tell me is, looking at that tree, because interestingly, that zucchini seed that I showed you before is actually bigger than a sequoia seed. Okay? And so there's this massive tree that's grown from something even smaller than what I had in my hand before. How many people can you see in that picture? Hey?
Three.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if there's 2 or 3, but you just see these people standing on top of the rock here. Because that rock is not, you see it's really hard to get the scale of these things. Because that rock is about 12 metres high. Right? So it's a rather large rock. And then you can just imagine how tall the tree is. If that rock is 12 metres high, you have this tree in it, and you know, it's like, you know, fill the room almost with the base of this thing. So it's pretty amazing. Okay, so that's a really small bit about plants, but there's a heck of a lot going on in plants. The next thing is we're going to look at some stuff that actually leads towards us. But what I want you to do is think of the largest word that you can think of. Okay, what's the longest word that you can think of? Okay? So all the people that are old enough that can yes, Sound of Music. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. That's from Mary Poppins, the original Mary Poppins. I don't think it's in the latest version. That one has 34 letters in it. Okay. We also, any other big words, like really long words that would beat that one? Good job, Tim. That is the other one that I chose. Okay, so it's just pop that up on the screen there. Alright, so we got supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Not sure what the heck that means. It doesn't really have a word meaning, but yeah. There is some longer words, but I couldn't pronounce them, so I didn't put them up. It's too hard. But the anti-Jewish establishmentarianism, which is actually a religious term, it's something to do with the Church of England, apparently.
I think you'll need help.
Okay, so they're long words. Now, if we started typing them at 1 letter per second, because supercalifragic has 34 letters, the other one is 28 letters. In under a minute, we'd be done, right? Wouldn't take us that long. And what are your chances, do you think, of pocket texting those words to somebody? All right, I mean, even actually to try and deliberately spell the darn things would be really hard. But the chances of pocket texting, what do you reckon the chances are? Is it going to happen? We've all done pocket texting, haven't we?
You know what
No? Pocket calling? You know, your phone doesn't quite switch off and it's in there and it's just pressing random keys. And you look at it and go, oh my goodness, I'm glad I didn't send that to someone because it just makes no sense at all. Now imagine a word that if we, so like this one here, we typed it at 1 character per second. Imagine a word that if we typed it at 1 character per second, it would take 142 years to type it out at 1 character every second for 142 years. Okay? So that's actually 4.5 billion letters people type in that word. It's only got 4 letters in it, 4 types of letters, so it doesn't have an alphabet that's 26 long like our normal English alphabet. It's only got 4 letters. But if you actually don't spell it correctly, it doesn't work. Okay? So you stuff a bit of that long sequence up and it doesn't make sense anymore. Alright? So that's these things are so big it's really hard to try and break it down. So that word is your DNA code. Okay, so a human DNA code that is in every single cell inside your body is 4.5 billion letters long. And you've got your own special word that's just for you. Okay? And in
I
that,
knew I was special. Very special.
definitely unique, Red. Definitely unique. So that actually came together. So the 2 cells from your mum and your dad, the egg and the sperm came together. They had half of that word together. It's the only cells that have only half the code in them are the reproduction cells. Those 2 cells come together, combined, you get this 4.5 billion letter long word that then grows out to be you. So we started life as a single cell, which is crazy small. Now, if we added a cell every second to our cells, so we added one like we were typing before, it will take us 1.2 million years to add enough cells, even if we didn't lose any along the way, to actually get to the 37 trillion cells that makes up the average human body. 37 trillion, I don't know, no trillions? Trillion is 37 with 12 zeros behind it. Okay, so that's a ridiculous number. And on top of that, there's 2 trillion cells. So our cells don't last that long, a lot of them, they're turning over all the time. Some very quickly, and Doecke's probably just done human physiology. I'm a human physiologist, I'm a Googler. 2 trillion cells divide every day. 23 million cells dividing your body every second. Okay? And what happens in that thing? Can we have the next slide, please? So in our cell, I don't know if you know cells very well, but they have mitochondria and stuff and chromosomes. You've probably all learned about chromosomes in school and genes and all that stuff. Basically, that's got that DNA strand 4.5 billion letters long in it. And through this process, I don't know, and actually I was amazed, Tim's learned something at university. He knew all the names that had been cut off at the top of the different stages of cell division, so the A for uni. But basically that big long word splits in 2 the DNA, splits in two, replicates itself, so it has enough stuff around it to then rebuild those 4.5 billion letters back into it. Two separate words now that say the same thing. And then it splits off into two different cells. Okay? Now, not much has to go wrong. I can say that's all like, I don't know, that's just mind-bogglingly large, right? So 23 million times every second, your 4.5 billion code splits in two and replicates itself. All day, every day. Right? So, the second word in all of this, and this is just two examples, I could literally be here. Like, I mean, there's just so many things going on in our bodies, or in nature, in like every process, how our eyes work, whatever it is, you pick it, you can talk about it for days, and there's an explosion of knowledge about all this stuff. Because 100 years ago, we didn't know hardly anything about anything, because we couldn't measure it. Whereas now we've got the tools to pull stuff apart. So the second word is wonder. Okay? Because when you actually think about what we're taught in school, or if you're watching a David Attenborough documentary on TV, okay, he'll show that albatross flying around or whatever it might be, and it's just amazing photography things that they put together there. But it's basically coming from a point of view where they're saying that will just happen to come from nothing to what you see by chance. Okay? And I just can't, I don't know, you go and you look at your yard, right? If you do nothing in your yard, or you don't tidy up the kitchen, or whatever it is does your garden get better if you leave it for 6 months and don't touch it? Or does it become a mess? Sorry? Spray cactuses. But I mean, you find that things like, that one little cow chop seed that you brought in on your foot, suddenly you get a bit of rain, and next thing you got this flipping big cow chop plant with 5,000 seeds on it, and want to prickle your feet, and it's just like, gosh, if you don't pull it out when it's there, suddenly you've got this big problem. So, the point is that we're not here by chance. I mean, there's, like with all that stuff that I showed you, right? If you can get that to pocket text itself together, I don't care how long you've got, but you've got 1 billion years, you're not going to be able to actually get that code to work. The fact that it can replicate itself like 23 million times every 50 second in your own body. Let alone think how many cells are in that sequoia tree that's going on. We might weigh 80 or 100 kilos or something. There's hundreds of tons of stuff in that tree. Each of that's built from cells the same sort of size as what ours are. Like it's all just, and that's without looking at the stars last night and trying to figure out, you look at the numbers there and you go, there's gazillion, billions of galaxies, let alone stars. And
just remember with the trees, if you can cut it and count the rings, you can tell how old it is.
Yeah, they're thousands of years old. Yeah. So, if we can have that scripture there from Romans 1:20. So what this points us to, and this is a message for people that believe, but it's also a message, and really I think for me it's a bit like part of it was when I sit with my colleagues at work and they all seem to think they've got their lives together pretty much, and sometimes they explode and do stupid stuff, and or maybe you're not quite as together as you might think you are, but it's just like, well, how do we present the message to the world where they all think they're doing all right? Okay, so that might be ourselves, and there might be people in here that don't know the Lord or whatever it is, Part of this is so that you can try and put some framework around to ask questions. Because if you go into it from a pure philosophical point of view, most people aren't interested in philosophical discussion, and it maybe doesn't take you that far anyway. But if you can perhaps get people to think, and the word says it, so since the creation of the world, his invisible attributes are clearly seen, being understood by the things that were made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they're without excuse. So his invisible attributes. So the God that put this system together, and I'm just talking about 2 examples or 3 examples out of the hundreds and hundreds of examples, because like things in agriculture, around that zucchini, I've got a bit about microbiology in the last few years, and there's millions and millions of microbes that live around the roots of plants that the plant feeds, so that they do things back in to get the plant to help it to feed itself. Like, and we've only just sort of started to learn that. Like, and each of those is a cell, and they've got their own DNA, and like it's just like, there's so much going on. So you've got to point, so the word of this wonder, when you look and you say, well, at the galaxy size, there's a huge amount going. Yeah, the other end, you go down to the smallest thing you could be, down to atoms and subatomic particles, and you know how hard that is to get to work. Because if an atom starts to split apart, you've got an atomic explosion. So even at the smallest stuff, there's an incredible amount of stuff going on. The biggest, everything in between. So I just go, oh, okay, God, you know, wow. This is, you just got to have a sense of wonder. And the fact that we can put that together with the passion word, you've got this sense of wonder and feeling like we're alive, and we can sort of be here and think about these things and on a battle points to the spiritual side of it, stuff going on inside of us. Because our dog doesn't, you know, your dog doesn't sit there and gaze at the stars and wonder how that works. Or even apparently apes, you know, they taught chimpanzees and stuff to do sign language, and you know, they make tools and some of those things. Apparently, even though they can communicate with each other, they never ask each other questions. Okay? They don't think that the other guy knows any better than what they know. So they're just in their own little world, and that's sort of this to it. So we go, well, you know, what do you think about that? Well, conversations and explore and all that sort of stuff. And not just that, I mean, so I'm working ag and it's fun to grow that across. But all of you guys, whatever you're doing, whether you've got work or you haven't got work, you've got people around you. I mean, zucchini plants are pretty simple compared to people that we get to work with. So we've all got so much to work with and to wonder and to explore and to discover and find the passions in your life to go places. Okay, so that's moving on to the next word. So yeah, so far, 2 words are passion and wonder. Okay, so the other part then is we're going to look at evil for a little while. Because there are truly evil things that happen in the world. Okay? Like just stuff that you've got no other explanation, word for it other than evil. An example I've got, who's watched the movie Schindler's List?
Yes.
Okay. It's an old, quite an old film now. And it's about something that happened 70, 80 years ago in World War II, where they were killing out the Jews. The Nazis were putting these, and Oscar Schindler starts the movie off as so spoilers, if you haven't seen it now, you probably haven't watched it, so I'll give you a spoiler if you like. But basically this guy he's a rich industrialist and he's selfish and he only cares about himself, and he goes out and sets up factories where they give them Jews free to sort of use as workers, and he ends up with his chest full of money. But along the way, particularly his main supervisor is a Jewish guy, and he's doing a great job for him. And the Nazis saw Jews as subhuman. They weren't really humans, so they need to wipe them out like a vermin. You know, you've got a rat in your kitchen, you want to kill it out. And she's terrible. So there's a scene in there where they actually line up, they're clearing out a ghetto, and they've shoved all these Jews, keep lining up people back to back and shooting like 7 or 8 people through because they're running out of bullets. They had to get some value out of their bullets, and they killed 5 or 6. And so it goes. Actually works out, they killed 2 every minute. 2,000 days of the Second World War. In Germany works out, that's what it's 2 every minute, 6 million people. But that's, Hitler and the Nazis were the Nazi people, but they're not the only ones to have done. I mean, Stalin in Russia with his gulags, Mao in China with his great leap forward, and Pol Pot in Cambodia with the Khmer Rouge. There's 1 million people hacked to death with machetes in Rwanda, like in the 90s. And Syria, and there's still stuff going on today. I guess the things that happen on, the streets of Brisbane this week, or that side, like please hand me on that. It's not evil. what about the more normal people? The average guy living his life? You know, people that look like they have their lives together, I suppose, and particularly, I was thinking, this sort of came together for me when I was having a meeting with other managers in our business that I work for, 6 or 7 people, and they're all managers. Well, the managers got to have their life together, right? Because they're supposed to show the example to the people that they're working for, and all that sort of stuff. And so, and they generally think they're doing pretty good, you know, they're not the guy who's homeless on the street, they're a manager, you know, they've got to come across well. And it's, you know, so for the people that aren't here, I mean, a lot of people here, you know you're broken and got trouble, then you need the Lord. But what about those people that aren't here? So, is there a balance between good and bad in your life? That hopefully the good outweighs the bad. Because we can, like I think the average Aussie, and you read it through people, you know, here at sermons, you know, funerals or death notices or whatever, you know, such and such has died and going to be up there at the pearly gates, and you know, that's all going to be okay. And I think there's a big thing where there's this sort of balance of, okay, yeah, I know I've done a few things wrong, but I've done a whole bunch of things right, and I ain't going to get up there that is sort of just going to chip it just that little bit on the good side, and that's going to get me in. Okay? So I think that's how a lot of us work, and my boss gave the example of, we were talking about the bushfires and all the things that have been happening, and he said, Twiggy Forrest, the guy that owns whatever the name is of that iron company over in WA, very rich, one of the richest Australians, they've given $70 million to the bushfire. That's a reasonable bloke. He asked me, what have you given? Because I said, 70 million. I mean, that's quite a spare change for that guy compared to. And he asked me, well, what have you done? It's like, well, okay, actually I haven't done anything in bushfire here. So maybe you bag over. But certainly that thing to say, well, he's done something charitable, therefore that makes him better. So to bring it back closer to home, just to say, well, and you know, about goods and bad, another wonder of things is mangoes, and even better than that, ice cream. Okay? And we have this dessert that we make at home in the summer months when the mangoes are available. You get the cheap 2-for-1 ones in the bag from Woolies because they're nice and ripe. You cut the mango out, put a couple of mangoes in the blender, chuck in a couple of scoops of ice cream, mix it all up, awesome dessert, okay? Easy one for you. And so, in general, when I take it in terms, we eat a lot of this, and sometimes it's probably more than we should, but I always get this thing when I'm tipping this mango ice cream out into the thing, I want to have more of it. Like all the time, I just sort of sticking this thing to say, I'm not going to split it 50-50. And then it's sort of justified in your head to say, well, I'm bigger than her, so make more body weight. Therefore, I deserve a little bit more. Probably on a... I was going to say, on the other hand, then I suppose the opposite thing goes, well, actually, I'm fatter than she is, so maybe I should eat more than she does. But I've got this seed of greed that pops out. And maybe if that thing grows, it must be doing what the Nazis did with some of these terrible people. So, they actually took some people in World War II, the Nazi people, when they went into Poland, they took normal police officers from the Polish police force and they trained them, and by the end of the training they could actually shoot a kneeling pregnant woman in the back of their head. So we're all capable of amazingly little things. It's actually, the seeds are there if we let them grow. So now that's sort of background to the. So and I guess even if people aren't doing evil stuff to each other, we still live in a broken and, in a sense, evil planet, because while we may or may not be to suffer from people doing nasty things to us, we're all going to grow old and die. Right? And that's an evil in itself. Because, you know, we can do all sorts of amazing things, but, you know, we can't when you're 85, you probably can't dance like you could like when you were 20. You probably don't feel as good. You know, things eventually can break down, and that's also an evil that we experience in our lives. So, so now we're going to change the scene to a courtroom. Okay, so we imagine, we always see courtrooms on TV because it's a very dramatic time in people's lives. So now, here we are in the courtroom. You guys are in the public gallery. We've got the
Judge Judy.
Judge Judy. I don't know that I've inspired that, but anyway, you know, it's a tough thing, and maybe some people have been inside courtrooms on the wrong side of them. I've only ever been in one as a witness for a car accident when I was involved. You know, it was a terrible place. It was boring and sterile, and you know, it was just a nasty place. But anyway, that we have them. And I mean, at the end of the day, from a global point of view, as much as our system isn't great, we actually probably got one of the better justice systems going around in the world. So let's imagine this courtroom. So name a crime that is really bothers you. Just what's a nasty thing that people do that really tears at your heart?
Assault.
Assault?
People, one person walking down the street and you got 3 or 4 people jumping or hurt, you know?
Yeah, so like almost like the one-punch killers
Yeah.
sort of thing, where someone's just walking along minding their own business and then wham. Okay? All right, well, let's use that as the example. So that guy has been caught and they're on trial. They're in the dock and the judge is up the front and they're talking about, okay, mate, why did you do that? And he explains, well, actually, I admit that I did kill that guy. I mean, actually, probably even worse than killing the guy. He's now a brain dead or half vegetable. He needs 24/7 care for the rest of his life. He's a young person that's just, you know, and he admits to the crime, but then he actually starts to say, well, actually, on top of that, but he does some good stuff, and so yes, he's done that bad thing, but you know, he gives 50% of his wages to the salvos and coaches the local football club and all that sort of stuff. Okay, now the judge weighs all these things up that he's brought along and says, well, actually your good stuff outweighs your bad, I'm going to let you go. All right, what would you think? See, if that was your mate that had been punched and the judge says, oh, actually you're not a bad, yeah, you've done some bad stuff, but your good stuff outweighs your bad, I'm going to let you free. Okay?
No, they shouldn't like accept this, even if just because they've done good, they should, you know, still get something out of it.
Yep. So you call that an injustice, perhaps? Would be perhaps a definition for it? Okay. So we get that thinking, well, that's not fair. You know, some guys want to then go do them and, you know, revenge. You know, we often want to take that person down and pay him back and make them suffer for what they did to somebody else. And that's really a sense of justice. Okay, so we've all been given a sense of justice where we know some right from wrong. Okay? So that the action of this isn't right and we need to sort it out. And, you know, we've built systems to try and do that, but even worse than that, I know someone said the other day, you know, might be in a courtroom where after the guys let him off, you see them around the back of the hall giving him a paper bag full of money, and the judge is corrupt as well, you know, so it's also unjust. And that we have that sense, you know, that there's got to be some justice in this world. Otherwise, I mean, what about all the people that suffer? There's nothing to do with them, and then they die, and they're gone. Like there's got to be justice at a broader sense as well, like in an eternal way.
Well, look at that family, the one where that guy burned the car out with his missus and kids in it.
Yes.
You know, he ended up killing himself, but you know, now the family and them kids, poor kids have lost their life because of his stupidity, but he's killed himself, and you know, what would have he got or what would have happened to him if he didn't kill himself? You know?
Yeah, so it's actually, in that sense, I mean, that's just horrendous, what he's done. And double than that, he's actually, not only has he taken the lives of those children, but he's actually robbed the victims, the other victims and family members of the right to get back at him, because he's taken himself out of the picture. So, you know, like, you just go, well, look, at least if the guy's going to do something bad like that, we want to do nasty things back at him, if you know what I mean. So, let's apply that to ourselves. So God is perfect, and He lives in unapproachable light. And where I've gone and taken a bit too much mango ice cream, I'm not never killed my family, but I'm still greedy. We've all got that seed inside of us, I think, of some shape or form. So if we just grab that next scripture there, Annette, please. So Romans 3:23, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. So God's in that glory, He's perfect, He's unapproachable. So even our smallest fault means that we can't stand in His presence in our own right. We're all condemned. And what happens with those people? So if you grab the next one then. So this is what happens to the people that are thrown out. So they're thrown out, they're weeping and gnashing their teeth. When you see Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and all the prophets in the kingdom of God, and yourselves thrust out. And the next one. Hey, did I have another one? 13:29. Okay, well 13:29 is they'll come from the east and the west, from the north and the south, and sit down in the kingdom of God. Okay, cool. Just flick back to the first one, please, Annette. Sorry, what next one after that? Weeping and gnashing your teeth. 11:28, that's the one. The weeping and gnashing your teeth, I always wonder, like, gnashing your teeth, like, you know, what's gnashing your teeth? Yeah, grinding, and I think the one thing the Lord showed me about this is that, like, when you look at the movies, like all the superhero movies, or you know, Indiana Jones, you know, a lot of times the villain, when they die, go into like a non-existence. You know, so the guy might, you know, they'll age dramatically, and they go back to dust and they blow away. Okay? So they just stop being, and they're dead, and it's all over for them. But that's actually not what happens, because the guys that are thrown out end up in a position where they're weeping and gnashing their teeth. They're not dead. You don't go into a non-existent, it's all over, you're dead, that's all there is to it form. You actually go into a place, and I think the weeping, they're actually weeping for what they missed out on. Suddenly now they realise, oh my goodness, I thought I was in, but actually I'm not. And so they missed out on, like you're just upset to go, oh God, I'm stuffed up here, I'm thrown away. And then they're gnashing your teeth. So what do you do when you gnash your teeth? Like you're gnashing your teeth, so you're angry, right? Angry, frustrated, bitter, rage. So the place that the people are thrown into, so they're weeping because they missed it. And they're like, oh, okay, that's like every fairy tale. I mean, they're super angry and bitter and eaten up constantly forever in that bitterness and rage on the other side. So it's not a place we want to go. So that's the third word. So the third word is justice. There's justice. There has to be justice in the system or it doesn't work. Okay? So we've got the things that are showing us that scenario about like life and that there's God and there's something to it. The words we've got passion, wonder, and justice. Because if we don't have justice, it doesn't work. And that justice, because if we don't have any, if we're all here by chance, we've all just evolved and there's no spiritual anything, there's basically no basis for right and wrong anymore. Okay, so there's no absolute moral law. But the fact that we feel injustice and see terrible things happen and we're bothered by that means that there's more to it than just. So I think those three words are almost like a proof to say that God's there, there's more to it, and actually we're not right ourselves. So going back to our courtroom scene, okay, so now that we're in a just court, I'm in there for having too much mango ice cream out. But, you know, the person that's done the wrong thing, you know, the judge has condemned them. Okay? the guy that did the one-punch kill has been pronounced that he's going to go to prison, and I guess in a lot of cultures he'd be actually wiped out, right? So just kill him. Yeah, because he's killed one, you pay that price back. Suddenly at the back of the courtroom, someone stands up and says, "Excuse me, Judge, can I speak?" And they come over and have a quiet word in the corner. And then, well, you know, the judge says, "Well, okay, we had a bit of a development here. We've done an exchange. That guy is actually willing to take the punishment. And you can go forward." And so for all of us, we're the ones that are in the dock condemned against God. And it's Jesus that stood up and said, "I'll take it on your behalf. And you can go free." So going on from the one before, it says all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, back in Romans 3:23. It goes on to say, "And all are justified freely by his grace through the redemption that came by Christ Jesus." God presented Christ as a sacrifice of atonement through the shedding of his blood to be received by faith. He did this to demonstrate his righteousness, because in his forbearance he had left the sins committed beforehand unpunished. He did it to demonstrate his righteousness at the present time, so as to be just, and the one who justifies those who have faith in Jesus. But because God's a just God, so this is serving that justice with. So it's not like someone's getting off. The price is still paid. The justice isn't violated. But we don't have to have that burden on us, and we pay that price. Okay? So the fourth word is forgiveness. So through the forgiveness that he offers to us, we can come back into relationship with God. We can know him and he can know us, and we can be restored back to what we were supposed to be at the beginning. Because all the way back when we've talked about this before, when God built this system and created humans, he did it because he wanted to relate to them. Because he's a God of love. And if you want to love, you've got to have someone to love. I mean, if you're into loving and you're on a desert island all by yourself, well, it's tough, isn't it? You know, you've got to have, love's got to have an object and something to show itself to. So that's why he bought us. So that's why he gave us free will. Because if we were forced to love him and we couldn't go another way, well, it's no love at all. And it's only love if you choose to love and you can choose not to love. So all of that stuff, so him and what we can be with him was purchased back. So then we get restored, we get redeemed, we get justified, we get put back into what relationship with him that he originally took us to be. So we come to the last. I've probably got to look at my thoughts, so that's probably a good thing because it could have taken all day. So the next one, so John 4:13. This is to the woman at the well, but as Jesus answered and said to her, "Whoever drinks of this water will thirst again." And the next, "Whoever drinks of the water that I shall give him or her will never thirst, but the water that I shall give him will become in him a fountain of water springing up into eternal, everlasting life." The last word is joy. Okay? So when you realise, you know, we're amazing, God, all this stuff God's given us. You know, forgiveness. That's the water that comes in there, and then the Spirit gets inside of us, and we're born again, and it just comes out and flows out into the world around us. Now, it's funny how this works, because you can't have, like, I'd actually had those 5 words for ages, and I was sort of trying to use them in my talks with people to try and explain who I was. You know, when you introduce yourself to a bunch of strangers and you've got like 2 minutes to get them interested in who you are. So, you know, I could talk about passion and wonder. and as a bit of an introduction. And then I was just like, shit, what do I do with justice and forgiveness things? So that was a bit hard. So I left them out and tried to talk about joy. And it didn't work. You get to the end and you say, oh, well, how can I talk about joy when I've not dealt with justice and forgiveness? And you say, oh, you know, I've got a lovely family and it's all cool and all that sort of stuff. But, you know, people that know they got that too sometimes. And it didn't quite sort of ring. So really when it hit me, this thing came together was when I realised that the link of the justice and the justice that, and the forgiveness that I needed for myself. Because I guess the same I was sitting in that manager's meeting, probably looking, feeling like I got my life together pretty well as well. And so then that spring coming up, it was all coming out of my flipping eyes. You know, I was in the motel room at 3 o'clock in the morning, flipping crying the eyes out, and it's just like, so the level of joy that you can have with God, you can sometimes, actually, I was trying to describe it to another work colleague this week, because we sort of talked through these words in a group over when they were drinking scotches and I was trying to talk to them. But the only word I could come up with is the level of joy is almost like ridiculous. It's actually, when you've got that flow inside, it's almost like, how do you describe it? You know, it's just amazing the amount of peace and love and joy. And, you know, I mean, you've seen it and I can see it in some people's eyes around now. And, you know, you might be laughing your head off or you just, what do I do with this thing? So you know, to have you know, we've got freedom, we've got love, we've got joy. And, you know, Paul talks about it over and over again in the scriptures about, you know, rejoice, rejoice, rejoice. There's a guy that's getting his back flogged out and shoved in dungeons and all sorts of stuff, and he could still love him with his joy. So yeah, so that's it. Okay, so the 5 words are, and we're all saying, passion, wonder, justice, forgiveness, joy. Okay, so have that in your own lives and share that with people around you. So I've got a song we'll play, which is Free to Dance by Hillsong, but I guess the invitation is to come, you know, if you haven't got all that, if you haven't got any of that, you know, all those different steps. You know, if you're feeling dry in life and you're like not very excited or passionate about stuff, or maybe we can, you know, happy to pray for you for those things, or for the, you know, if you're just celebrating your wonder, or you're just full of joy and you just want to dance, well, you know, you can dance on your own and share that with other people, or but, you know, if you want to feel that joy, or also the forgiveness. You don't know the Lord and what He's got, and you've got some areas in your life, whatever. You know, we'll be happy to pray for you. So there you go.